you, who's in there. You kind of started to allude to it, but you have several metaphors you've used before to get through to people so they get to see that who they are is not their emotions, who they are is not. Would you share maybe a moment or two of that?
Well, and that's the deepest teaching there is.
I think so too.
I think the main thing is to ask yourself, right? When you go to sleep, you dream. You wake up and you tell her your dream, right? I don't understand. Were you there? Who saw the dream? Was it the same person who watched the dream who's looking out through your eyes? That's you. Yeah. You understand that?
Yes.
Right? So your body went to sleep, but your consciousness, your awareness of being, right? You don't say, I am the dream. You said, I had a dream. I saw a dream. You should see what I dreamt. Who is this I? Who is this awareness of being that watches the dream, looks out through the eyes, hears through the ears, here's the mind being neurotic, right? If I sit there and talk about that voice in your head that drives you crazy, why did I say that? Oh my God, that was stupid. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. What is that, right? It's not you. You're the one who's hearing it say that. And that's the awakening, right? Where it's not very far. It's sort of like you're watching TV and you're sucked into the TV, right? Well, when you're sucked in the TV, you don't have a family, you're not in a house, you're in the TV. You've projected your consciousness into what we call the object of consciousness. That's right. Then all of a sudden something happens and you're back on the couch. When you're back on the couch, there's a whole room, and there's people, and there's food, and right? Well, there wasn't before. And then, oh, by the way, there's a TV over there. It's just nothing. That's what your mind is, the talky mind. Your consciousness got absorbed. I would call it in the I channel. Oprah has an O channel, you have an I channel. Okay? And so basically it got absorbed in that channel. You don't have to. You can come back to the couch. That's what the seat of self is. And the beauty, and you're all finding that, you know that, is not only then do you not have the problems that are created. If you talked about it, if you're watching a horror show, you feel horrible, right? You don't have to go out there and yell at the producers, right? You don't have to watch the show. You don't have to go
Change
there.
the channel.
Whatever. You don't have to go there and fix all these things that are going on in your mind. I told you why they're there, because you stored all this garbage, right? You don't have to watch that show. You can turn your consciousness elsewhere, right? And not only then do you not suffer because of the garbage that's going on in the mind and the heart and your judgment of the world, as you talked about, but you're going to find out that you in there, which is what you asked me to talk about, and I don't, right? You in there are beyond your comprehension.
Yeah, I love
you are the
gave
most beautiful thing in the world.
Your experience of that, what you described, looking in the mirror over the years and you're seeing something different, but it's still you seeing it. Right. Or the emotions that you have, they're constantly changing. You're not the emotions. You're the witness of those emotions. If you forget, you'll think you are those emotions, then you'll feel the pain of that as well. But I think it's important for people to realize there's something that we call ourselves that is greater than anything that could ever happen to you, anything you could ever experience. And if you come back to that, that's the seat of the soul. That's where there's no pain. That's where you're able to experience all of life and see that it's all this beautiful game that's here for you to appreciate, as opposed to judge and be upset by and frustrated with and try to control when you can't.
And when it's said and done, that's where all the energy comes from.
Yeah.
That's what you find.
It's the freedom.
But it is the source of energy. Like I quoted from the Bible, right? And it's not by bread alone, but every word that leaves the mouth of the Father. You will realize when you let go enough of yourself that all that good juice that you got because things are the way you wanted was coming from there.
Always.
Love does not come from the heart. It comes from there down through the heart because the mind lets it or doesn't let it, right? So human love we experience that way, but what we call spiritual love, the deep stuff, is coming from the core. That's why they say God is love, right? It's the core of your being. So now you're talking deeply spiritual stuff when you start to identify and rest back into your soul, back into the seat of your being. But the beauty is all of that beautiful energy you have, that's where it comes from. It is the source of your being. And everybody has the same amount and more than you do, all right? And period. And even the people on the side of the street, there's right? It's just that they're closed. And so the whole key is how do you open? And that's what the course is about.
You got to do the course. He's not selling it. We want you all to experience it because we've had a little hour here or so, but you want to tap into that. I want to mention one thing though. You triggered me on. When you look at people's lives, most people have been taught God is love on the surface, but they also think God is judgment, and the mind is really the judgment, right? How do you get people from God is judgment? Many people have been raised that way. They've been conditioned to think that way, depending on how they were raised, religiously or non-religiously, to where God really is love and where joy is the natural experience of their expectation of life.
But by doing every single thing we talked about this entire hour,
Eat little steps.
coming back to your core. Like, I don't want to be quoting the Bible in here, but in the Old Testament it says man was created in the image of God. That doesn't mean God's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a beard. That's God is created in the image of man. All right?
Yeah.
And you're going to find out, and I don't want to be the one who tells you, that as you come back in here,
The more you do that.
you feel that closeness.
Yeah.
And you realize that is my nature. I'm
Yeah.
divine in nature, right? I'm watching a human, but that which is watching is spirit, right? And that's where it falls away. And you start feeling love. And there's a chapter in the book like that, the last chapter. You start feeling love and joy, and you realize, is that what's back here?
Yeah.
Is that what God is?
Yeah.
Love, joy, acceptance, surrender, the whole ball.
A direct experience of that as opposed to someone telling you what it is.
That's exactly
It's not
right.
personal.
And it's not mental.
Yes, exactly.
You have had, you alluded to, I think one of the books, I don't remember where, but you alluded to, and your life is kind of an expression of, you've moved from seclusion to service to some extent. And you were telling me off camera here that this is one of your finest pieces of work. Tell me, what is your legacy? What is it that you're trying to give this world? Because I know Mickey in there would just love to hang out and just experience this, but he's also called. I mean, that's the real Mickey. We talked about that, right? He'd be by himself in total joy and happy. He doesn't need a damn thing.
Me too.
But Mickey also is called, this part of him, this higher part of you has been called to serve. We've been so touched by your service. I know so many watching already have been touched by your service even before this interview, and I know will be more. But tell us what pulls you out now to serve like that still, even though there's some, there's sometimes that feeling of wanting to be back there. And what is your legacy? What are you wanting to leave here?
Well, first the answer is surrender, which again, the course is called Living from a Place of Surrender, the Untethered Soul in Action, right?
Yes.
Because people can't get surrender by the word. The word surrender means, I surrender.
Yeah, I give up.
Okay, I give up, right?
That's not what
Sherman
it is, yeah.
surrendered, all right? that is not what it
I'll
means.
never do that.
That is not what it means, all right? And so basically, why I teach and why the service is taking place is because I've learned to respect the moments that unfold in front of me. And those are the moments that unfold in front of me. I sit out there in the
Whatever
woods. I sit in the woods, and kids come out, and people come out. So I teach, right?
Yeah.
And so on, right? It's
Yeah.
not a thing I'm doing. It's
Yeah.
a service I'm performing because of the moments that are unfolding in front of me, right? And it becomes really easy when you live that way. It's not a conceptual way of living, and the whole business grew that way.
Yeah.
Right? We don't understand
Yeah.
that, right? And as far as a legacy, when I did with Sounds True, was produced the course, when I did the course with Sounds True, what everything inside of me said was, this is my legacy. This is what I get to leave behind. If people want to learn what I learned, if people want to hear how all this happened, right? I get to have these 8 to 9 hours in 8 sessions where I can say what it is I want to say to you.